Information Officer and Chief Librarian at the University of Guelph. He is a graduate of this program, and he started out, this is just the inspiring message, he started out as a student assistant here in the Inform. And he's responsible as CIO for the overall strategy and policy administration of the university's information technology and information services and information resources. He's, I mentioned, a graduate of this program, and also the University of Guelph and the University of New Brunswick. Like all our panelists, he is also a volunteer contributor through many library and university associations to the ongoing and continuing education and strategic needs of the libraries and universities.
I actually want to start by picking up on something Leo just said around change and around the impact of that change, and really maybe direct it a little bit into what it is you're doing, because I think it's an extremely exciting time to be in librarianship. We're literally reinventing the profession because of all the changes going on in society, technology, and culture in various ways, and so things that we're talking about with respect to publishing. All these things are really morphing, adapting, transforming in very interesting ways. And it makes it a very, very exciting time to be in this field. You are, I think, at the end of the day, going to completely change and reinvent what it is we think of this profession. It's not going to be the same in the course of your career in libraries or information or whatever you may know. And that's pretty exciting. These are rare opportunities to do that. And so I encourage you to take every one of them, because it really is exciting. And it kind of leads into a discussion a little bit about what we look for when we're hiring a librarian at Guelph and probably at universities more generally. And I would say it's not expertise. The assumption is that you're not going to walk into an interview or walk into our library, our environment, and have enormous expertise in particular disciplines or particular areas. That's not what we expect from you. What we're expecting from you is to have lots of ideas. We want you to explore things. We want you to challenge us. We want you to put things on the table that maybe we haven't thought of before. And maybe those ideas aren't all solid, but we want to see that sort of intellectual engagement, I guess, in the profession and in the work that you're doing. It's not that you'll have to be an expert or expect you to be an expert. It's that we expect you want to become an expert. You're eager to do that. And in a sense, that links to what I always tell people is the single characteristic that I look for in any of the interviews that we do, and that's curiosity. Are people actually interested in this? Are they interested to follow through with it, to engage with it, to pursue it, to ask questions? You would be stunned at how many people come to interviews and sit there like bumps on logs and don't ask questions, don't follow through on something, don't appear even interested. Why are they even there? And those people get weeded out, frankly, in the process pretty quickly. So want to be there. Engage with that process. If it's something you really want to do, show people that you have a passion for that, and you'd be amazed at how that will differentiate you from so many other people who go through this process and that we try to recruit. So curiosity really does, for me, demonstrate that sort of passion, that sort of engagement. Anybody here know Dorothy Parker? Come on. No, not personally. Well, go to New York. Maybe she's still there. Dorothy Parker once said that the cure for boredom is curiosity. There is no cure for curiosity. And I think that's absolutely true. That's the thing that will drive you in the profession in so many different ways. So think about that as an issue. The other thing I wanted to talk to you a little bit about, though, is when you go into an interview or looking for a position, or when we're looking for people, one of the other things that we're very focused on, in a sense, is organizational fit. Are we hiring the right person for the right organization? And so I want to talk a little bit about organizational culture, because you really want to look, when you go for an interview, you go for any sort of position, certainly they're choosing you, perhaps, but you're also choosing them. You're deciding that I want to work in that place, I want to work in that environment with those colleagues. And a real central piece of that for me is the organization compatible with what you want from your career, what you expect to happen in your professional life? And trying to get a sense of that organizational culture, and if it's the one that is appropriate for you, is, I think, pretty important. So that's that dialogue that has to happen. Do I want to work here? Is this the right place for me? And I'll tell you right now that there are, and I'll speak on behalf of universities, there are organizational cultures you do not want to work in. There are places which will not nurture you as a professional, or will be difficult places for you to work. And you want to find out those places, and you don't want to go there, right? Those are the places you want to say, no, I'm not going to go there. And I say that really specifically because all places are not the same. Some places will give you more opportunity, more capacity than others, and you want to find those ones. You want to find the ones that match your particular interests, your particular expectations and aspirations. And then work on that. And you can find that lots of ways. You can talk to professionals in those institutions, in those libraries. You can find it out from conferences or other places. But mine that culture, find out what that culture is, and absolutely make sure it matches what you like. I think another piece for me is understanding that when you move into particularly an academic or research library, you're really becoming part of a community of professionals. You're not the only professionals that will work in that library. You'll work with IT folk, learning experts, data people, other kinds of professionals who will work together to create the services that form an academic or research library. And I say that because all these professionals have their own tribal identities. They have their own way of thinking about what their value system is and what they do. And sometimes they don't exactly get along. They have differences of opinion about how those things work. And that's part of the diversity that's important in an academic research library. But it's also the challenge to you as a professional to be able to find how those professional groups will work together, how you'll fit in that larger culture perhaps and make it work. There is this bit of this mythology that libraries are filled up with librarians, and it ain't true. In fact, the vast majority of professionals in libraries are not librarians. They're other types of professionals. So that multi-dimensional professional kind of matrix, I guess, or mosaic, is really something that I would encourage you to think about and think of how you will work and fit within that. If you haven't done a practice interview, you should absolutely leave now and go and do a practice interview. Because probably the most useful thing you will do is work through an interview yourself. How many people have done a mock interview? Hell, pile them down at the Ontario Library Association just this last week. You should have taken advantage of it because it's an absolutely fabulous thing to do. Because you, again, would be stunned at how many people don't know how to go through an interview. Don't know what to do, don't know how to behave, do the wrong thing as opposed to the right thing. And those mock interviews that are available, I think this iSchool has had them as well before, are tremendously valuable ways to exercise that muscle, to use Leo's word again, that you get better. You can learn how to react. You can put your best foot forward. So take advantage of those kinds of mock interviews and really learn them. It really does make an extraordinary difference. Not all the time, though. It's not the only skill you need. I'll tell you a story about my daughter. My daughter works at the headquarters of Canadian Tire. And one of the things that, of course, you'll learn to do in these interviews is write a good cover letter, how you get the attention of someone. And so she applied for this job at Canadian Tire in the marketing department. And it was a beautiful letter, explained all the things she did, absolute classic. Except she referred to the corporation she was applying to as Home Hardware the entire time. They gave her an interview, she got the job. She's working there for a couple of years. But you never know what's going to happen. But I do think that being prepared, even if you get the name wrong, is pretty useful. Last thing I would recommend to you, and that is self-promotion. You've got lots of opportunities now to really, in a sense, advertise your professional capabilities and credentials. So if you're not using things like Twitter or blog or other kinds of social media, or writing or talking or speaking in other contexts, use every single one of those opportunities to get your name out there. There's absolutely no question that people like me follow students, we listen to what students are saying, and we recognize those names when they show up later on as part of search committees or part of searches. So the more you can promote yourself, the more you can identify yourself as an engaged professional, the more you're going to be seen in a positive light by folks like me, who are going to be on the other end of the hiring table and assessing your kind of capacity and commitment to the profession. So sometimes it sounds trite to be doing that, and sometimes you may not think you have much to say, but I would encourage you to do that because you do have lots of ideas that we are looking for and would benefit from. I think so.